Yeah.
Or for distance.
You know, we could get
He's
Cam,
header.
Cam can come up, Cam came in for you.
We gotta do something.
Yeah, because some people were telling me, gee, your dog's that you get tapped on, he's fishing, you can't even get by him and he wants to tear your leg off.
But
Disappointed.
the problem is that if you're gonna
You
have
have
a
to have
dog,
some attitude.
you gotta know how to deal with the dog, and he's letting the dog control him.
Yeah.
So it's like he gets out, the dog starts pulling him, and I'm like, what is with this? That should never, ever. That dog should be behind you.
Jay was supposed to do that for us, before I left, I asked him to do that.
Your department.
My department, Kate.
Yeah, he's got, he's not mine. When I was coming out of seminary one time, and Ken tried was walking his dog,
Yeah.
which was bad, but I didn't tell that Jay.
Not.
Ken's
Yeah.
taking him downtown, it's
They're,
bad.
No.
You know, but he jumped in my toilet, I had the window, he
Oh,
was
really?
open all the way, or he went through my window.
When we caught up with that guy in La Vida, I heard the dog barking, and I was like, oh my God, I hope he doesn't let that dog out. 'Cause
That would've been fun.
There is no telling who we would've got after.
He'd ate you too.
That'd have been fun just to see where he went.
Yeah.
First one close to him, that's who he would've got.
Yeah.
Look and see,
He's a nice dog, he's a dog with an
and
attitude.
then I could.
He does okay with me.
He's okay when he's in the cage. Hey there, how are you?
When he's in the cage, I passed by there, even Matt Moreno passed by him. Terry's cage.
He's like, man.
I gave you every more laptop orders. Tops.
Like for the tough books?
You need a couple more.
Tough books or the tablets that we got you?
Tough books.
Tough books? I don't think we do, but we could look around.
Put some in the car, but the ones they got from State Patrol, they were like a CF-28, they would work.
That's,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
But I can,
I didn't know if you wanted, on our
Yeah,
side.
if,
so like the one that you guys had here.
I was coming to
it's like
brag about
the-
mine,
if we have any extra, we would do that for the CF-28.
Yeah?
Because of the little tip on it.
We gotta keep up with the
You gave
Joneses,
me, I'm gonna give
the little
them.
stylus to your phone.
They put me a whole new system in.
We just bought the 19s, and so we just bought 5 of them for what we have. We don't have
I
anything
already printed
extra.
it, got it done.
Anything extra we had would have been from the
Yeah, that's on
28s.
the official original, I didn't know if that's,
You got any more 19s, you remember this?
No, just what's on the rigs.
Oh, somebody else in this, right? I already signed it.
I'll find something.
Did you find use that other one?
You just order the tops
Did you get
though.
that one?
Yeah,
I can move it.
You don't sign it.
Maybe a little cheaper.
Yeah.
That took book, that remember was in all the first time I gave it to you. I don't know if it was Matt or either one of them took it.
Mark said you don't have it.
It was either him or Matt that took it.
I remember where I ordered those, because I just ordered one for that. Actually, I've got to order a new one for the new animal.
Weeder said I saw them when you left.
Is that
They were all
tablets,
the same.
Somebody
is that
said-
for tablets, or is that for actually?
Yeah, 'cause he gave me the 2 round ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went back to the tough books.
I left my
The
weed, I can't find
19s.
them now.
Oh, you went back to the 19?
Yeah.
oh, they were in the truck.
Yeah.
That's where they were, but then we took them out because Pete thought I was gonna take them. I said, no, they belong here. I says, the badges and the brown ones came back in one hand, I says, so. They'll stay here, so they put them on the
Yeah.
table.
Because I got the other ones.
Yeah.
We
Maybe
had
there's
the
stuff
28s,
on
we got
a,
rid of those,
you
and we
look
went
at
to those.
one we had
tablets,
actually.
and we got rid of those, went back to the 19s. So if we had anything extra, it would have been for the 28s.
How about behind the shelves? The one right by the door.
We'll just pass it
I
on.
did check there.
Now look there,
That'll be
in the filing cabinet,
another
my
one for
fixed
the
it
19
there.
now, so I'll let you know where I was running.
Yeah, let's have this.
They were there when I left on the table.
Yeah,
Let's put them in the cars. But I
I saw
got
them
all
there sometime.
the guy, what's his name?
I thought maybe they were on,
He hit the brass.
that's where I saw them one time.
Oh,
That's why I had them in the car for a long
You've
time.
got the part that where it's screened,
I wasn't sure if you.
but there's no bracket.
Right.
So I get a seat
I
bracket.
don't
And those
And then I can
badges,
move
the
that
guy that made them for me,
From there.
I don't think he's in business anymore.
Yeah.
He's gonna make the plaques for me and Charlie. So I paid
That's,
for those.
that part from here to here.
Yeah, remember that plaque I have on my door?
Did you get fancy paint?
He made that along with the badges for me.
I like the feel of it.
He was a retired police officer, and made them for me for free. just-
Okay, 4:30.
I want to.
We need to have JoJo here for a quorum to be able to bring these 2 in. We have to have a quorum, and these 3 are the only 3
Right there.
members of the board right now.
There he is.
There he is. There's our quorum.
Come here.
What'd you call him?
No.
I still got 3 minutes. How's everybody?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'd have come in here and I'd have got everybody full of grease, so that's why I said, I'm gonna go with shower. No, it's a whole bad deal. Rough day.
Fix and repair.
If you wouldn't mind signing those 2 checks. Kathy accidentally signed twice, so
she
if
had
you'll
me
just
sign
sign
one
it next
twice.
to yeah, it does.
This one and this one.
Yes, please.
Maybe in the fall. Like an in-season.
Okay.
Come down.
Yeah, that's the best time to do it. So hopefully, if they get the program going, we're gonna incorporate that all into
We already made it behind.
Hello?
Even 1 minute after an hour, I'm going against you, just FYI.
You do what?
It has to be for specific reasons.
Oh, yes, she's always be careful.
Gotta
Oh,
have the 3 of you here.
I'd have been here, but
It might be armed or something, so.
probably might not.
I heard what
For later.
All right, so we have to wait for Eric to come back.
We don't, I don't know how long that'll take, but he can come back in.
guys are on.
We've done that when people have
Let's get
been.
him started. Okay,
I
let's get the meeting called to order.
We joke about it, but.
Let's stand for our pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Bill Martinez, sir.
Eric Navarrete here.
Kathy Bueno here. Yes.
I guess?
Yeah, that's what
I
we
am
gotta
here.
do.
Okay, so that's our proof of quorum.
I don't see
And
no problem.
proof of notice.
No problem. I didn't see any problem with it.
No.
I
And
didn't see-
then approval of minutes.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Bill Martinez, yes.
Eric Navarrete, yes?
And Kathy Bueno abstain. Okay, so we're down to new board member oaths of office.
All right, so Kathy, Nick, and Jim, if you would pull out your oaths of office. This one right here. And
Sign your left.
and just repeat, I'm gonna ask you to repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, James
Kathy
W. Casillas,
will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Colorado,
and of the state of Colorado,
and the laws made pursuant to thereto,
and the laws made pursuant thereto,
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of director
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of director
of Trinidad Ambulance District,
of Trinidad Ambulance District,
upon which I am about to enter.
about which I am about to enter.
And if you will sign your oaths and pass them to me.
I told you, you gotta sign your left way now. Just make sure that social security number's right. Because I'm claiming you, I'm claiming you. You're younger than me, so I'm claiming you, fella.
Okay.
And Dash says if I'm gonna claim him, I'll just have to bring him some green chili.
And then we're on to our annual election of officers. According to our bylaws, section 6B, we have our annual election of officers at our May meeting, which we are at.
The end of May.
So the way this works for our new members, so that you know, is we just have nominations for office of chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary,
Right,
correct?
you've
Or
been
not
doing
really?
3, you've been doing
Just the
president,
treasurer.
vice president, and then like secretary.
Secretary, treasurer is
Mhm.
together.
Right.
because there's really not a lot for the treasurer to do, that's all done by our county. So, so we just take nominations, we get a second, and then we would vote on anybody for those positions. So those would be the 3 or /4 that we cover. So the floor is open.
A
Do
motion
you have
that,
questions about any of those? I mean, it's pretty simple what those roles are, but.
a motion that the board stays the same, Kathy is president, and Derek is, secretary, won't we, vice chair?
Vice Chair.
And just keep it that way for right now until the
Well,
new
but
members
we,
get
but
there.
we need a secretary
We'll still need a
treasurer.
secretary.
And then they can go ahead and, who was the secretary?
They're in
treasurer?
now.
They're
They
in,
can-
they're official board members now. So we need to have an election of officers.
So anyone can fill that.
Yep.
You want to start with just accepting nominations for president, and then we'll do each office?
Sure, that'll work.
Okay, so you're open for
Motion for
nominations?
Kathy to stay as president.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations?
Motion to see nomination be ceased.
I accept. Roll call?
Joe Martinez says.
Eric Everett, yes. Chris Monroe, yes.
Jim Casillas, yes.
There we go. Thank you.
Motion, for the next one would be what, vice?
Yes.
Motion Derek Navarette, retain vice president.
Second?
Did you want to keep that?
Yes.
Okay, so he accepts. Roll call?
Joe Martinez says.
Eric Monroe, yes. Yes.
Jim Casillas, yes.
Kathy Bonner, yes. Okay,
Motion that Jim Casillas be retained as secretary, treasurer, so we can keep an eye on him.
On you.
Second.
okay. So do you accept?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call?
Joe Martinez says.
Make sure you have-
Yes.
Yeah.
Eric Everett, yes.
Kathy Bonner, yes.
I want to see JoJo do that look again, those prices.
Which one?
Keep an eye on you.
Okay. That satisfy everything you needed there. Yes, ma'am.
You're happy now.
Yes. Good.
Look,
Okay.
we need his candles now.
Public comments? Anybody? Nope, nobody's here for that. Okay, financial and billing report, please.
Okay, if everybody looked at the financials, we've got a little over 3.6 million in the bank for the new board members. The way we've kind of addressed these financials is that we know we can't do anything about depreciation and all those things, so what we've kind of been looking at is making sure that the liquid funds that we have stay at a balance. We can address where that money's gone and making sure we have the money in there to do the things that the district needs to do, knowing that we've got, we initially earmarked $2 million for the new building, and we spent $190,000 on that, 190 on that the drive-in property. So minus that, we still have the other money that's been earmarked. But the bottom line is we have about 3.6 million in the bank. That's 7.4% more than last year at this time. So it's about $250,000 more. At the receivables, what we're billing out, we've got about $30,000 more, or 16.4% more than we had at this time last year. And then we still have, I think, about $100,000 in tax money out, and we've got, I think our half of the grant that we'll get back in July is about $87,000 on that ambulance. So that's close to $200,000 that'll be coming, still coming, in addition to fee for service. The total liabilities on the district are down more than $17,000 compared to last year, that's 16.8%. And we're currently at a total income of $1,252,891, which is 55% of the projected income for the year. Of course, a lot of that is the tax revenue that we got. We just got a big check. Salaries and wages, we're on track to be about 100,000 lower than budgeted. However, for those of you that didn't know, Stodge fell off the roof, and so we've been covering his. You didn't hear about this. He fell off the roof, shattered his femur, he's got a rod in his femur. And
Fell off the roof, right?
he's doing roofing out in Holden.
Oh, no.
You gotta remember you're live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, everybody knows it's public
Okay.
record. He's gonna be out,
Oh, yeah.
So- yeah.
I didn't know
So
that.
just for as far as the payroll goes, we're having to cover that shift with other people, and he's paramedic, so we've got to.
So you got overtime and things like that,
Right.
adding into this.
Right. So, but we're still, it may cost us, we may lose that 100,000 that we were saving, so we'll take a look and see, but, we just looked at, we've got some new hires, and Gabe and I just looked at the schedule. I think we'll be able to do some things that'll be fine in the long run. That won't be an issue. The total income is 43.5% higher than at this time last year. And I think part of that was, if you remember, I think last year, because of all the stuff with the courthouse being closed, and
Well,
it took a long
that-
time, to get the tax money, so that may be why it's showing such a significant increase as compared to last time, this year at the same time.
We expected that with the last couple of months reporting that we hadn't received that, so we kind
It
of.
was a little lower too.
Yeah, we had the tax money coming, but then last year, we got the tax money, we didn't get it till like June because of the courthouse being closed, and they couldn't process the stuff as quickly as they wanted to, so. And I think that may be why it's just showing that it's so much higher this year to date as compared to last year.
Are we always in arrears like 911? We're a month behind or we're current?
No, this is current, but we're looking at April's,
Right.
right? So next month we'll be looking at May. Legal and professional fees is up $20,000 compared to last year, but that's due to the election costs in Spencer Fane, and we budgeted 25 for that, so we're still okay there. Repairs and maintenance is down $11,378, 63% compared to last year. So it's amazing when you put new trucks on the road how your repairs and maintenance goes down. Salary and wages are down 11.7% compared to last year, or about 44.6. And that's all I have for financial and billing.
Him and him doing a good job on the repairs, keeping up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know he does.
Yeah, it should, Christopher still kind of has a personal involvement in that, and so they're kind of his trucks and we just pay for them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one time we had somebody who rode the brakes so hard that they kind of got that little fractured, the crazing in there, and he actually came to an employee meeting with the rotor, showed everybody, and said,
Well, yeah.
this is somebody.
It's what not to do, yeah,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
So, I mean, he cares about these trucks.
Yeah, because them big trucks like that, I mean, you should be able to downshift them instead of stepping on the brake all the time. You know, it'd been nice if they'd have put a, engine brake in there
Yeah.
to help, but, they just gotta learn to downshift them big trucks.
Those 550s actually
Yeah.
have the little button for the,
Yeah, to where it'll
Right,
downshift
yeah.
automatically, really.
so, but we're doing
Yeah, they'll learn it.
good.
Well, it's nice to have someone on the outside that cares about them as much as you do.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
good. Any other questions on the financial or billing report for Dan?
Motion to accept the financial report.
Okay. Roll call?
Joe Martinez says.
Nicholas, yes. Eric Everett, yes.
Jake says yes.
Kathy Bueno, yes. Okay, Bank of the West CD proposal.
We met with Fred Sanchez, and basically he came in and he was showing us, just talked about the same thing he mentioned to us in the last meeting, but what we're looking at doing is taking, if you look at that, where he's got the principal, kind of see, Sheriff, you want to write the,
Yeah.
where, right, that's it. That's what we've got in the bank, that's kind of what we're looking at depositing. So we're looking at doing $2 million for 12 months and getting that return on there, so we'll basically get about 20 grand in interest. Take 250 and put it in a 3-month, which obviously is a lower rate of return, but it's in order to keep that. You can see there's a 250 and a 270,000. Basically what we're doing is just rotating those so that they come open, so we always have that money. Because like I said, when RFP goes out for clearing the land and putting up the fencing, we'll have that money in liquid funds that we can pay somebody to do that. So that's what we're looking at doing now. So I think it makes sense. It keeps the liquid assets available to us at a reasonable enough amount that we can, if we need to, we can draw them out. And so I would recommend that the board approve Fred's plan for the money market CDs, so that we earn more interest on this money, because right now it's really not earning anything.
What's it in now?
It's in a money market fund that's earning like 1%.
It's like point, is it?
Point one.
I thought it was
It's something ridiculous.
it was way less than 1%, yeah.
Discussion, anybody?
I have no problem with this. I like the return on this. I like the idea of when we have the access, when we need it, if we
Yeah.
need it, you know, so.
Yeah. How soon are they gonna go out and start working on that, do you know?
I've still got to put that RFP out. I have to find someone who will give me something for engineering on the fence that shows it will withstand a 150 mile an hour, 150 or 105. Laura, do you remember?
I think it's 105.
105 mile an hour gust,
Okay.
which is the city is adopting the International Building Code. So I can't just get the fence, I have to find somebody that will actually certify it, the engineering for that.
So that's an 8-foot chain link.
Chain link, yeah.
Okay, so we have, on the table do we want to accept this proposal from Bank of the West?
I motion that we go ahead and accept the Bank of the West proposal on the CDs as written, the two, the amounts of $1 million apiece, $1 million apiece, and then the other two, one for $250,000 and the other one for $270,000.
Second it with the amendment on it to it, that in conjunction with the tentative agreement, that Mr. Monahan to get on the fencing and all that, so that everything is in line in order to get it all completed.
It'll be, yeah, the way these are done, after all this is deposited, we still have the money to do that. So we're not
touching any of
we're not
this.
encumbering enough.
Let's not touch none of this, I know that, because the other
So there
stuff
won't
is
be
already, no,
We won't have to withdraw anything out of this, right,
no, this is that other money that we have saved.
right.
So are you comfortable with that? All right, so can we consider that the second?
Second motion to Mr. Martinez.
Thank you. Roll call?
Joe Martinez says.
Nicholas Morano, yes. Navarette, yes.
Ken says yes.
Kathy Burke, yes. All right, as we move on to director's report, I just asked for new board members if, when we get to your reports, if you can just give them kind of an update of where things have been and kind of catch them up to speed a little bit on where we're at and what they kind of missed us, or what they're in for as they're coming in, so
Well,
I,
we'll start with every year, the third full week in May is EMS week, which is this week. And that's why I'm in jeans, and I did have a t-shirt on because I've been grilling for the past 2 days. And I hear from certain people that the food is good.
It's very good.
Derek? Yes. So, we had, last 2 days, we've had pretty good, really good turnout. And tomorrow's the last day, 11 to 2. And so we do this every year and it's our way of thanking everybody in public safety and getting them involved more with EMS so they know what we're doing. Of course, everybody knows this anyway, but they really appreciate this. It's kind of a special thank you that they get. So it's just been really attended the last couple of days. We've had every engine crew, we've had PD, we've had SO, we had Pinyon Canyon, we had a guy from the state fire office here to the chief, actually, for the state, Quick. Yeah. He was here today, so it's actually been a really, really good turnout. So that happens every year. We ordered an ambulance. We can get a state grant for ambulances. We have one that's on order. It's supposed to be done June 15th is the tentative date right now. But it has to be done before the end of the month because that's a requirement. End of June, that's a requirement for the grant. They send us pictures every Thursday. The last one they had, pretty much the cab is painted, it's all done. The box was completed and it was primed out and it was getting ready. If you want to see the pictures, I'll show them to you. There's some up over the water fountain down the hall. But when you watch them put these things together, it's just amazing. All the wiring and stuff and the OCD involved and making sure all that stuff goes just the right way. It's pretty incredible. So the trucks cost us, we bought more expensive trucks. They're about $230,000. The state only allows $174,000, $175,000 for an ambulance, so they'll give us 50% of that $175,000. And we kind of eat the rest, but the reason we did that is because the manufacturer we get these from, when the chassis wear out, they're made to have the box tape and just put a new chassis underneath it. So it actually costs us about half of what an ambulance would cost. So part of my going back and looking at when I first got here, one of the things that the board wanted was a vehicle replacement plan, because there really wasn't one when I got here. But now we have one where it looks like we're going to stick with this company. We'll have these things remounted probably it's looking like it's going to be every 5 or 6 years, I would think, because of the mileage we're putting on them. We've talked about having a plan where we'll have 4 of the big box units, and then what we may end up doing is getting one of those sprinters, because we're doing so many transfers now, and with St. Mary Corwin, I don't know if you guys heard, but it's not closing, but they're only going to have oncology and orthopedics and ER, and they're down with 6-bed ICU. Their whole 3rd floor is closed. So what that means is, where are those patients going? They're going to Parkview. So when they want to ship a patient out from here, Parkview's full, we're going to Springs, we're going to Denver. So we're putting a lot more miles on the truck. And so we're thinking, rather than using these big boxes, we'll just get one of those sprinters that's about $80,000, and we'll just run that thing up. And if the weather's nice,
Yeah, I think that's a good investment there, because this way the bigger vehicles won't be
You might add in there, rather than just waiting like on a 5-year period, maybe based on mileage too, because.
It is, no, it's based on mileage and how much we're spending on maintenance. I'm just saying, it looks like we're gonna probably go 5 or 6 years. It was just an estimate of how long I think they're gonna last, just based on the mileage they're getting now. Once we get a Sprinter, we'll just rack the miles up on that, because we can buy 3 of those for what one of the other boxes cost.
I mean, and then when you get high in mileage, it's easier just to go and buy a quick motor,
Yeah.
get it replaced, and you go.
They call them in the industry disposable.
Yeah, I mean, and they are, because, I mean, you get a quick motor.
But they get a lot better mileage than those big
No problem.
F-550s.
It's cheaper that way.
That's what we're looking at. They don't ride bad. There's room in the cab, so you're not all cramped like in the old Ford van. So I think the crews are kind of on board with that. So that's what we've been looking at. We have the drive-in property, we're gonna put a building up there, so we're actually in a place that has radio reception, and we can put in a classroom that's big enough to handle the classes that we're having, because now when we do research, that room is just packed. Tony brings in tables and chairs, and we still have people standing in the corners, so.
Well, it's like I said, when we sit down to do that, we need to get a good plan, big building, room for expansion,
Right.
and everything, because if we don't put, and this should have been room for expansion, then it wasn't.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it was perfect for
Why go so
when you
far?
first started, but it's just been, since we took over the EMS education for the college, it's just been.
Well, the dynamics have changed.
Right.
From when
When it first started.
building. Brandon, I mean, because they weren't doing a lot then. I mean, other than medical calls.
Right.
And now you've incorporated a lot more services that you're giving here, so dynamics have changed as to what your building has and can offer out there.
Right, and that classroom just gets, initially when I got here and I saw the classes, I was like, oh, we'll never fill that classroom now. I look back at that and I wonder what I was thinking.
Then you
So,
look at the property out there, you got plenty of property.
we got 11 acres out there, which is plenty of room to expand, and, I don't want to think about, up until the day I leave, I'm thinking about, 30, 40 years from now. Because if we don't plan like that, then it's just much more expensive down the road. So I think this building is a good example of meeting the needs that you had at the time and not thinking about what was coming more down the road. Right?
We outgrew it in 5 years.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
5 years we outgrew it.
So that's been a goal. What else, Kathy, can you figure?
I think you covered it pretty well. Just the expansion of services itself was huge. To make sure they all understood that. I think they're both, involved in enough stuff to know what they're doing here, but I just wanted to make sure.
Well, and it's because of Nick that we actually got started with the whole rescue task force thing. And
No, it's not because of him. You sent the email, I just followed through with it.
Don't blame me.
He did text you.
Since you're on this board, you're gonna get blamed for a lot of things.
Hey, but it worked though.
He's got
The
the
class
shoulders
came to
right
you, came to me, this is where we're at.
But it's, when, looking at that, if you guys it didn't really make a lot of news, but Panama City yesterday, they had a murder suspect that was in Fort Walton County, went over to Bay County, right next door, up in the Panhandle. And so the guys in Bay County were watching the guy's apartment because they knew his car was there, they thought he was there. And then a fire engine pulls up and they're talking, they went to meet the fire engine, why are you here? Because they're getting ready to go up to the apartment where the guy is. One of the neighbors complained of gasoline smell, and when they all got up to meet, the guy started firing at him from the second story window. So it's a different world. And if you haven't, yeah, if you want to pass that one around. Las Vegas is starting a tactical team, only 4 years
Too late.
after us.
That's what I'm saying, every time I turn around, I'm looking at the news and stuff, and everybody's starting all this stuff. And I look when you guys started this, and it makes you think this should have been in play,
Well,
years
the
ago,
philosophy,
but nobody
Joe,
thought of it.
is that everybody hopes it's never gonna happen here, so we don't plan for it. The only question is when. It's gonna happen everywhere, just when.
Well, if you don't plan
And that's
for it
the
and it
thing.
happens, then people
And
are
that's
up
the
and
thing,
on.
nobody knows when.
Yeah?
And it's sad because of what we're going through with all these kids and young adults and
And
just
people have
over.
changed. They don't live in the same world.
And the worst part is that elephant that's in the room is starting to come out, is these kids have been bullied. When you actually look at it, they're starting to find out that they've been bullied and that they got tired, and that's one of the things you don't wanna hear, but that's what's going on.
Well, there's a lot involved with it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Everything has changed.
You know,
It's not like
it's-
there's just.
We don't have the same
Sorry, I
kind of
gotta-
mentality of people.
No.
A color
So
and
we're
a black and
prepared.
white.
Respect, Jim, also respect is not off the door. for a lot of things.
That's another thing we're doing is we're taking my old truck, I've got an Expedition coming in probably end of June. We're taking the blue truck and making that a special operations vehicle, putting a plow on it so we can get to places like Santa Fe Trail Ranches and out in Honey when there's good snow, because we've had times when we can't get the ambulance out there. We're gonna put a Stokes basket and a way to secure it in there in a seat, so that if we have search and rescue, or if we've got to go off-road to get to somebody where the ambulances can't go, that truck will get there. That's just a shell, so we'll be able to put what we want in it, and load the Stokes in there and provide treatment en route. So it's just a way to get somebody from point A
You guys got the Humvees?
to point B. The Humvees, but this is, it's easier to operate. You know, the Humvees,
You
all
can have a
the-
lot more stuff in there. yeah.
right, but you know how the Humvees are, where if you don't know how to, this is a truck, you can get in it and you can drive it. So we just thought it was easier, and it's maintained, so we don't have to worry about the batteries being dead, and belts and parts, and 24-volt batteries and all those crazy things. I think it's gonna end up being nice. It's supposed to be, it's coming in the blue jeans, which is that color, so they can't guarantee a perfect match, which maybe we can, but it'll match that, and then we're gonna take it to MHQ in Albuquerque and have them do the stripes on the back like the ambulances, and put the special ops stuff and the logo on the side, so it should be pretty sharp. We get it done, and it should be a useful vehicle for us to have. Finally, Dr. Weber was here today, he did his review, and he didn't have any concerns with our care. The one thing that happened was we submitted for a ketamine waiver. It's a non-opioid pain reliever that, since opioids are getting hard to get, the pain medications are getting harder to get. How far are they back ordered? So,
Still 2019, so still another year.
yeah, so a year till we can get pain medication. So they came out with these meds, and when we went to the Gathering of Eagles, when that conference we went to, the problem with the medication is that when you gave it as an IV push, people were having a lot of side effects with it, a lot of mental type side effects. So one of the docs was there, he says, look, what we did was we put this stuff in a little IV bag, and we put it on a little mini drip set, and we just run it open, and the way it infuses, we haven't had any of those issues. So Dr. Weber looked at that, he applied to the state for that to do it. We're the only people in the state doing it. The only ones that are close is AMR in Pueblo, which is now following our lead, because he's also their medical director. So once again, Trinidad brings something to the state that other people are starting to use. And it was a big deal because it actually hit the EMS news that AMR in New Hampshire is carrying ketamine for pain. So we're actually out ahead of, we're seeing what's going on. We're staying on top of these things, and we're addressing, we're being proactive. We're finding these things before they happen and addressing them. So even, we knew pain meds were gonna be a problem to get. We looked at what our options were, and now Gabe's got, what do we have, 10 200? We have 10 200 milligram vials, and the protocol calls for how much in a?
30 milligrams in a 50 cc bag.
30 milligrams, okay? What Dr. Weber, since we have multi-dose vials, Dr. Weber has allowed us to draw the medication into a vial, and then Gabe's gonna do it like he does his other, so we don't have to waste it. Pueblo's wasting, they have 500 milligram vials in there, waste 470 milligrams. We're gonna be able to take ours and make our own dose in there, so we can put it in the bags and it'll be good to use. So,
That's good, 'cause a lot of agencies, if you're doing a Mitch got problem, you're gonna have to come up with solutions. We looked at solutions before we had the problem. The problem's there already, it's everywhere, but admitting that you had that problem, then you have to come up with
well, we just couldn't get, we started seeing more and more stuff. It's so bad that the FDA already said, okay, if you've got meds and they're expired, we're gonna give you a 6-month leeway. So if it's that bad that the FDA is saying you can go ahead and use expired meds, 6 months past their date, you know you've got something going on.
How come there's a lapse in getting payments?
A lot of it was the hurricanes because the factories are down in Puerto Rico. And so that was most of it.
And you know what they ran out of, or shortages of? IV bags, the plastic bags. They make them, honest to God.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Salt
I didn't
water.
realize they had a trickle effect.
We had salt water, we couldn't get sugar water.
It's the main factory, they don't have a backup factory. So,
And to me, you know, as much as we talk about Homeland Security, I'm sorry, but, and now because they're out there, it's also where they make cardiac drugs. So all the stuff we use just on our cardiac arrest or cardiac patients, those are in short supply too. That, it,
Even Lasix is.
I'm telling you, ISIS couldn't take it. ISIS couldn't do this much damage. To allow that much, one hurricane, to deplete an entire nation, 320 million people of medication is amazing to me.
yeah, there was a time I had 15 items on back order for 6+ months. Now we're down to probably about six items.
That's not bad.
The 3 of them are the main pain
Yeah.
medications that we use, so, and those are back ordered for another year still.
We got an email from, Raton, the
Oh,
hospital in
MCMC.
Raton. Yeah, that they, if we had any expired saline, that we could give them because they're out even more than we are. We're like,
Yeah.
the expired stuff, they just want our salt water.
7/8 of the planet is covered in salt water.
Can't find it, can't get it.
Oh my
It's
God.
expensive.
Then we have to do our own pipeline, instead of gas. we salt water.
Salt water, yeah.
And that's all I have.
All right, operations report.
So what I've done is I've just piggybacked off of what previous people have done for my ops report. I break it down in a few little sections. I can break it down a little further differently if you guys need to. Basically, I break it down by month, requests for service, transports, that kind of thing. So for the month of April, we had 178 requests for service, 148 of those were transports. So 25 of those were non-transports, so that's canceled refusals, deaths, standbys, that kind of thing. As of April 30th, we're averaging 6 calls a day. April was pretty busy, and we continue to get busier, it sounds like. Non-transports, we had 10 cancels, 11 refusals, we had 4 DOAs for the month of April. Of those transports, 112 of them were 911s, 34 of them were inter-facility transfers, so that's transfers to Pueblo or further north. That's been about our average, 1 or 2, 1.5 a day. Call distribution by shift, so it just breaks it down into ABC shifts. We have 3 shifts. For the month of April, C shift was the busiest shift. They had 71 calls.
When you be able to see why the differential in certain parts of the season, certain holidays.
It's just days of the week, so it's 24, 48, so.
It just
And not only
falls.
that, it's not even necessarily the same people because they trade shifts and stuff. It just happens to be the shifts that we track.
And it's kind of weird because looking back at March, A shift was the busiest shift, so it's just falls. There's not a demographic that says it's this thing or that thing, just the way the day falls. Call distribution by crew. So east and west, they stay fairly even. You know, a lot of times west, this station here, they complain that they're busier than the other station, but looking at the numbers, it's usually pretty close, so.
And for Jim and Nick, about 1/3 of our volume is interfacility transport. So we're going to Pueblo, Springs, or Denver on just about a third of our calls.
When you do those little cars.
Well, last year that,
Well, the thing is that, and this is one of the issues that we're gonna be addressing in the future of the board. We get called out, they'll send somebody out up to Pueblo. That leaves us with 1 911 crew on duty. We have a second crew that's on call, but they're not on duty. They want us to send occasionally a second crew out of town, which means we would bring in 1 crew, and if we got a call in Aguilar, we're done. So we've told the hospital that we'll only do 1, we'll do a shuttle if they want, but we will only do 1 at a time. So when they send some, now sometimes they do send two patients in the same ambulance, which is fine, we don't have an issue with that. But we'll be in Walsenburg, and then they'll have a second patient they want to go. And it's like, we don't have the resources. So, you know, our argument has been, you're a small critical access hospital that doesn't have the resources to treat those patients here. We're a small rural ambulance district that doesn't have the resources to just send vehicles out.
Well, and it's the same thing with, at our office before, and Derek's there now, is for EPCs and all that. I mean, you know, they have to give us time, because, you know, you have to find somebody, and then if he's on a trip already, you know.
You have to wait.
There's only
But,
so
you know,
much-
I think our priority is that we make sure we have crews here to run
Coverage.
911 calls.
Gotta have coverage,
Yeah, local
plain and
calls,
simple.
Right? And so the way it already stands is if we have a crew on the way up to Pueblo, and then a call drops out in the county somewhere, that on-call crew comes in. And once they get a call, again, we're done.
Or God forbid you have a big accident or something happens.
And you know,
Anything's
Jojo,
possible.
luckily enough, because of the way we've been in this community, when we've had big wrecks, every one of these ambulances
Have been
has
busy.
been out.
I know. That's
Crews
what
come
I'm
in, they got their radios, they get on the ambulances, QRTs are responding. That one we had about 3 years ago, up Highway 12, we had 5 ambulances and 1 QRT, and all of them had people.
saying.
They were all getting transported,
God
so.
forbid, you know, you just gotta do with what you
We've been
got.
lucky, but you know, the thing is, what can we guarantee? Well, we guarantee the 2 on duty and the 1 on call. So,
So going off of that, going back last year, inter-city transfers equated to about 425 out of what, 2,200 calls?
yeah, but not that was requests for service. 20, that's.
Oh, true.
Yeah, it's requests for service, but actual transports were
It was
about
17.
15 or 17.
Yeah. So yeah, 400 of those were, 425 of those were transfers out of town.
It's a lot of miles.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like I said, now with Corwin not accepting the patients in Parkview being
Any
full,
further?
Mileage.
we're doing more and more to Memorial and up to Denver.
And then the last 2 breakdowns, I got are calls by fire district. We like to track the fire district to see who's busiest. And Stonewall, Fisher's Peak, and Spanish Peaks tend to be the busiest out of the 3
Pretty
volunteers.
busy.
Do you know Branson calls Kim?
Branson generally calls us. Yeah. And then on the back end,
Fine.
Hi.
we keep track of the positions that send out the most transfers. And it breaks it down in percentage. And this month, we've got a tie between Dr. Garman and Dr. Eckler.
But I think based on Echo's past performance, we have to tilt it his way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's no argument here.
He's consistent the last 3 months. He's been,
3 or 4 at least.
yeah. So, but aside from that, I mean, that's my ops report. Unless there's something different you want to see or.
Between those 2 doctors, it's like 46%.
Yep.
Well,
I knew there's a lot going on, but you can actually see it on paper.
you saw that.
It's totally different.
People just skip hospital and just
Yeah, I know, that's exactly.
go straight to Pueblo.
Because that's all it is, like he said. They go in, before you know it, they pop, they're headed north. It's just a checkup and go. Right? That's what it is.
Give you a bill, there you go.
They go to Raton.
I hear from a lot of times if we've got an OB patient, we'll go straight to Raton because that's where they end up anyway. And somebody that's got a fractured hip or something, we strongly suspect that that's the case, we'll take them straight up to Pueblo if that's their preference, just because that's where they need to be anyway.
Okay. And then our caravan, we got that one on here too.
Yeah. As far as Marino throws that in there, just to show what we're doing with caravan stuff.
Which is a lot.
It's pretty consistent.
Yeah, we're pretty busy
And the
with
numbers
that.
are down compared to last year because we're down a driver. So last year, we had 2 drivers up until December. And then we went down to 1 driver. And we do have somebody coming on board mid-June to start picking that back up again.
Want to give us some info on your education?
Yeah, well, the starting class, the paramedic, they're starting a class of 24, out of them 6 are employees.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we got a quarter percentage of that. We're just working on the specifics with payment, the MOU, getting everything established with them. But all 6 interviewed, they did great, they were accepted the next day. March 31st, just so you know, was the same time every year we have National Registry that we recertify. This year, as far as the research, I had 78 employees, not employees, QRTs, EMTs that went through our continuing education. We ended up having a whole college, it was that big, so they're all set for another year. With registry, Junie just graduated 13 EMRs. I think there's another additional 7 EMTs. And then with class going away will April, it'll bring on 6 new medics. And we're down to what, 3, 4 medics now? We're 3 right now, so it'll more than double our medics, which is, the transports are only going to get worse with Core 1 doing what it's doing. And we were discussing before, the bypass or, divert of the hospital when they decide that they're overloaded. Our next choice is going to Springs for Denver. So it's really taking somebody out of
And the state
service.
is, even though there's a national critical care paramedic curriculum, the state doesn't accept it. The state has to have their own. I don't know why, but they changed the rules that EMS follows. That it used to be that if we could start a drug, we could transport the drug if it was in our protocols. Now they're saying, no,
Not so much.
because now they want to push this critical care paramedic thing. So what we can do, and I talked to Dr. Weber about it today, is if there's certain things that we need to transport patients up north on, we can get waivers like we did with the ketamine. So we're going to go at it through that process rather than going through the state's thing that it'll be recognized by the state and no one else.
Colorado has a lot of that, where it's specific to the state, even though we have national certification. So, and Dr. Weber did do a class. We recorded it today for the training of the new drug we're using, ketamine. So, as long as the crews come on, we certify them, we sign them off, and they're able to use it that day.
Anything else? Anything for executive session? Okay. Next regular meeting date is scheduled for Wednesday, June 27th, 2018.
You can do that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I said it was a little bit longer.
I didn't pull it out. That good with everybody? Wednesdays?
27th, you said?
June 27th?
No.
Come on now.
Same time?
At 4:30? Yep. Okay. And then, if you could just, if the board members can just stay after the meeting for just a few minutes, just some paperwork we need to sign, to make sure everybody's on the accounts and things like that, so you can just hang out for a few minutes after
Again?
Yes.
adjournment. Yeah,
All, even those of you who are,
I know.
Yeah.
Again?
all of us.
Again.
There we go.
Time, just remove it.
So I need a motion to adjourn.
So,
Let's go.
Good luck with figuring that one out.
second.
Okay, it was like fast. I think we got the motion and the second all at the same time. Roll call.
Joe Martinez says.
Nicholas Monroe, yes. Derek Knapp, yes.
Duke says yes.
Kathy Dunn, yes.